Well, I figured out that which is the high side, which is the low side. Sometimes that electric shifter works, and sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it sort of half works, which means it kind of throws it between gears, and then you find yourself riding along in neutral. But all in all, I'm happy with it. I can drive it like this. You know, before, this thing's got like a 427 geared rear end in it. And before, when you would go down the road, you know, in that low side, boy, you're just winding her way up. But it's a good, comfortable driving gear right here. You know, I've got it in the high side. It's got enough gear where I can take off with no problem, and I can cruise down the road with no problem. And if I want to throw that shifter in there, I can. I think probably the more I used it, the more it would start to work. What happens if it gets where it won't shift is I just cut it off and it goes back into gear, or I pull over and start over. But what I might do is, as I drive this thing a little more, I might use that a little more, and it might free up and start to work. Right now I'm thinking turn signals need to work on it, and brake lights. I think I may have brake lights already, but it wouldn't hurt to go all the way through it and put bulbs in it. And then get that gas tank fixed. That'd be a big deal, and that might be something I get done today. So I'll take it back up to the house here. Oh, one thing I noticed, it didn't want to crank after I went up to the store a while ago, but you know, it might not have run enough to charge that battery much, so I ain't too concerned about that, although it might not hurt to throw a extra battery and a set of jumper cables in here just in case something comes up at some point. Just a thought I'm having. Even in the high side, it'll still walk up this hill with no problem. Well, that was a good ride, and I'm very happy with the progress that's been made so far. I know that that two-speed transmission, that overdrive transmission, worked exactly the way it's supposed to at least once. And then sometimes it felt like it did, sometimes it didn't. But you know, if it's working some, I almost feel like if this thing was driven a little bit, I could get it freed up and get it to work more. So I'm thinking, okay, so what do I need to drive this to the car show? Well, probably the biggest thing that I don't have right now is to make sure my brake lights and turn signals are working if I'm going to drive it out on the street. And I seem to remember that I checked these a while back, and I had some things working. I got plenty of 6-volt bulbs, so maybe I'll just start with the brake lights, make sure they're working, and then move on to the turn signals and make sure they're working, and go from there. So yeah, we'll do that. Oh, by the way, this is my gas tank for now. I got 3 gallons in this one and 6 gallons in that one. Gives me 9 gallons altogether, and I can run on that. If I get everything else done, I'll address that fuel tank there, and we'll get that back up in there too. But one thing at a time. Okay, well, here's an update. I decided just to go ahead and pull the fuse out, that 20 amp fuse that I put in a while ago. It blew. I don't know if you can see that, but I sure can. So that explains why it worked perfectly once and then it didn't. So that gives me something to think about and consider and put into my calculation, and I've got plenty of fuses. I can keep playing with it till I get it right. I think I'll clean up some connections and kind of maybe take a look at the little regulator, and who knows, but spend a little time with this and that. And anyway, I can do that later. Right now I'm going to work on tail lights, brake lights, turn signals.